Well, I'd like to welcome everybody to this episode of the Card Press. And today we are happy to have Josh Trout. And Josh, great to see you.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for inviting me. Nice to face-to-face meet you somewhat.
Yeah.
We kind of connected. I think you were, I've met a ton of people in this last, I joined Instagram in 2018 and I had no clue what was out there. And that's
Yeah.
when I stumbled upon the card art and sketch cards craze. And I was like, "Ooh, what is this? I want to know more about it." So that's actually when I started doing sketch cards for Topps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember you were kind of one of the first people that I was kind of interacting with, and along with a couple others. But yeah, and I think have you bought any prints from me, or have you gotten anything from me?
I did. I've got a couple cards, and I got the Mickey Mantle city map.
Yes, I knew that was the recent one.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple cards, maybe mid to late last year.
The museum reproduction ones.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, those have been really popular. I don't know what I get. I mean, Topps chooses 50 total.
Right.
I've been lucky and blessed enough that they've chosen 12 of mine the last 2 years. So I'm really shooting for some gunners this year. I've even
Awesome.
put in a couple plugs with my AD there at Topps that I kind of talked to. So I'm hoping they'll choose some. But last year they picked a lot of good ones. One of them being Trout. So I was ecstatic with that, and everybody else was, because those sold out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Is that helping you any, having that last name? Or...
Yeah, I get asked a lot. You know, usually it's after a little while, then they say, "By any chance, are you related to Mike Trout?"
Right.
And I'm like, I wouldn't be peddling cards, you know, if I was.
You'd have that Mike Trout gallery, you know, or you're just doing
Yeah,
Mike Trout.
I've gotten a lot of. I joined the Mike Trout, one main Mike Trout Facebook group, collectors Facebook group, and I just posted some of my stuff, and obviously the last name helped, and I got a ton of business that way.
That's cool.
So that's really, I still have commissions lined up for a couple different things.
Yep.
One being a commissioned Topps card, and another one being a painted baseball of Trout. So
yeah, I've seen some of that work. So before you got in with Topps and before you started the sketch cards, what kind of art did you do? What were you doing?
Well, after college, which we were kind of talking about right before we got on here, I stopped drawing and so I went to a 2-year graphic design illustration school, and then I got out of college and I didn't do any sort of artwork for 15 years.
Yep.
And I say life got in the way, but really it was just, I was in single party mode, so to speak. So I got married in 2013, and I had just been itching to get back into artwork, because people kept telling, even my old junior high teacher, who I kind of still keep in contact with, and she's always messaging me. I kind of felt like I was wasting my talent, and I knew that I loved doing artwork, and so I wanted to get back in. So 2015 is when I finally got back into artwork, and it was painting on baseballs.
Yes.
So a friend of mine went to the All-Star game, and he sends me a picture of a guy that was doing airbrush baseballs.
Right.
And he was selling them for like $350 a pop there. And I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, I could, not that I could, I said to myself, I could do that. Like I could totally do this.
Yeah.
I dabble in airbrush. I dabble in all sorts of mixed media type stuff. The only thing I don't really do is oil painting, which uh, irritates me because it looks beautiful. I just don't have the patience or the ventilation. So, um, but I kind of dabble in everything. But yeah, so I started doing these painted baseballs, and I posted my first one, which was a David Ortiz,
Yeah.
and people liked it, and they said, "Do you sell these?" I'm like, "Well, I can." So I priced it to what I kind of thought would be good, and um, so I think at that time it was like 250 bucks, and sold it, and then started doing some more.
Yeah.
So I still have actually, this is one that I did really early on, but
Oh yeah. Yep.
it's Mariano Rivera, and then I actually got him to sign it too.
Awesome.
So um,
Very cool.
yeah, so that was I kind of did a trade with a guy that I did a Hideki Matsui for him, and then he took both the baseballs to a signing and got the Mariano signature. So I was thrilled, and
Yeah.
I don't really want to put it out there like it's for sale because one, I don't really know what kind of price to put on it,
Yeah.
but I love just having it sitting here with some of my other stuff. I have a painted Palomalu football that I did for my wife. So that's kind of down here in my little studio room. Um, but yeah, the baseballs was what I started to get into, and then that led into I did a football. I did a Tom Osborne football. He was a Nebraska football head coach back when they were really good. um, uh, and then I did a baseball bat. Um, and that it just started kind of evolving, and I want to get into jerseys. You can see I have a Bo Jackson jersey back here.
Yep.
So I was a big Bo collector when I was a kid. Like I have all my cards still. Love Bo Jackson, and so my dad had got that jersey signed by Bo, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna do jerseys, I want to practice, and I want to do it on something of mine. I don't want to get somebody else's jersey in,
Yeah.
and somebody trusted me for the first time.
Right.
So I wanted to try it on that. So that's the start, and I probably won't get to that for the rest of this year, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're keeping pretty busy then, it sounds like, with tops and commissions and things like that.
Yeah, I only work on 2 sets with tops because it is a time suck. I mean,
Yeah.
they really, even though they give you such a small window to get as many cars as you can done. Um, I only work on the two because I'm literally, this is all I do is like I have my full-time job, and then I usually have a couple hours after work to do kind of whatever house stuff or yard stuff or whatever like that. And then I'm down here working on stuff,
Right.
answering emails or messaging back and forth with people, and working. So like I don't see the light of day really. but but so that's kind of like I don't want that to be an ongoing thing, and I can't really do commission work during this time because of the time frame.
Yeah.
So like like this time right around about December to mid-April is when I do my 2 top sets.
Okay.
And then after that, it's going to be the whole summer is going to be all commissions, and I probably have like 20 things lined up right now, and I still keep getting people asking, and I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna get to them, and I just tell them I'm
You raise
probably
prices.
booked up through the end of the year,
Right.
but I have no idea. I might be able to knock out 5 of these things because some of them are actually commission tops cards, and I might be able to knock out 3, 4 in a week, depending. But with commission stuff, I'm going all in. I'm probably going to spend like 10 hours on one of these cards,
Yeah.
just really meticulously doing the
Right.
work. So
Now the stuff for tops, are you I've seen some of your stuff that's actual card size. Is the artwork, is all of it, actual card size, or do you doing larger pieces that get scaled down into the cards, or
yeah,
talk a
um,
little bit about specifics if you could.
Yeah, both. So 2019 was the first year that I worked on Topps Museum. So Topps Museum is, they send me blank cards,
Okay.
and then I do the artwork. So I mean, it's printed border, everything. It looks like a normal card, but
Yeah.
just inside is blank. So that's, I do the artwork directly on the card.
Okay. So
And
what's
then
the stock? What's the surface like on that?
these are really pretty good, actually. I mean, it's a thick card.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably like seven. I mean, this is a 75 point case, so it's a nice sturdy card. And these are one of the um, better card stocks out there, from what I hear. I actually got invited on a set from a guy from Greece, actually, and he sent me some stuff, and it was like, um, what was it? It was like illustrative books, like famous books like Robin Hood or The Jungle Book or Thousand Leagues Under the Sea type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And and I was like, okay, I can do some of that. And I did my first card, and I couldn't do it. So I sent them all back, and I said, sorry, man, like markers are so streaky on it. Like I don't feel comfortable sending my artwork out there. And he
Yeah.
totally understood. I mean, he was very nice about it. And he said, I next year we're gonna have better card stock, and I want you to join. And I declined his invite that second year because Topps was just kind of blowing up for me,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to ride that. So this is actually good stock. I have heard that the Star Wars stock is not good. So I haven't been invited to that, but I probably wouldn't take it on,
Mm-hmm.
even though I love Star Wars. And that's more because the market for Star Wars, there's so many artists, from what I've been told, there's so many artists out there. So when the set releases, it just floods the market. And
Yeah.
so the buyers, collectors, the higher end collectors, they have so much to choose from, and they can't really keep that market afloat.
Yeah.
So that's why you see a lot of those prices for those cards are lower, and I don't want to price my stuff lower.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, but I know there's a lot of other artists that do their own personal sketch cards, which is something that I want to get into.
Mm-hmm.
I have a design in my head, and I have kind of designed it out, but I'm not like super satisfied with it. So I'm still kind of tinkering.
Yeah.
But as soon as I get that, then I would have my own sketch cards that I could sell on my own. They'd have my own back, my design, logo, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a goal. I just got to find time to do it.
Yep.
And then so that's the Topps Museum. For Topps Gallery, which is the other set I do, they actually we do whatever stock we want. It's our own stock. We can choose whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
So I do it on an illustration board. The size is like a 4.25 by 6 roughly.
Okay.
So it's a larger area.
Yeah.
And we send all those originals in, and Topps scans them or photographs them. I'm not sure. And then they use that as their artwork for the cards.
Yep. Okay.
And then those originals also get put into this the product. So the gallery is a Walmart exclusive retail product,
Mm-hmm.
whereas museum is a hobby product. So you can only get those at a card shop. And they're also like between $250 and $300 for 4 packs. So it's a high end product.
Yep.
Where gallery's like $80 for 20 packs. So you can pull an original, and I have had a couple of my originals pulled. One here in Nebraska, actually.
Oh wow.
And but yeah, it's fun when people pull them, and then they'll contact me, or they'll say like, "Hey, I pulled this," or "I bought this on." I get told, "Hey, I bought your stuff on eBay." I'm like, "Cool, like awesome, man." And one guy bought my George Springer on eBay from last year's set, and then he's commissioned 5 more, just that size, not necessarily.
Yeah.
He just wants that size.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I mean, the Topps. I'm sticking with Tops because of the exposure. Tops artists do not get paid very well. So I try to make my money back, at least make it worth my while in my commissions
Hmm.
from it for the actual cards.
Yeah.
And I charge one of the higher prices for my originals, from what I believe.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, if I have a bunch for this year, and they're all pretty much reserved
Yeah.
except for a couple. So
But then that exposure can help in doing some other things like your prints and city map stuff and some of that other
yep,
stuff, I'm sure.
yep, and that's, yeah, the exposure is the one thing, and just to be able to say I'm a licensed Tops artist, that's
Right.
pretty cool.
Hmm.
That holds some weight. It's good on a resume, so to speak,
Yep.
or LinkedIn, I guess, if people look at that. Although
Yeah.
my LinkedIn's not updated, so
Too
but
busy.
what?
You're too busy.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the exposure and just being included in as a Tops artist. And now with Project 2020, people have asked me, were you on it? Did you do anything? I'm like, no, I wasn't fortunate enough. I'll tell them I don't have a high enough Instagram following
Right.
because if I'll be honest, I think a lot of it is that. I mean, that's Tops. They're cashing in on the exposure that these other
With the
people have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I don't blame them. I
Right.
mean, you're getting. I mean, look at the tops. Have you seen the top 70 checklist?
Of artists,
Yeah,
I have not yet. I know a few of them that are on it, but I
yeah.
haven't.
There are a few artists. Snoop Dogg is on it. So I think it's what Tops is doing is crossing those boundaries of getting other people to see the work.
Yep.
Because and normally, I don't think Snoop Dogg's following would necessarily be buying baseball cards, but now they might want to buy some stuff that he creates.
Yep. Yep.
So I get that. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I think
Project.
I think the cross promotion of what Project 2020 did, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Uh, just it. There was the whole sports art, I think, world, and of course collectors. That those are the people that are buying some of that. But being able to buy, I think, a $20 card or something opened the market up to a lot of other collectors. You didn't have to be an art collector per se to and buy a painting or a
Right.
full size work or something like that. So yeah,
Right. But yeah,
I think
look
it's
at
really
Ben.
interesting.
Look at Ben Baller. I mean, he was a
Yeah,
jeweler. So
yeah,
it's a completely different industry that you're kind of opening up to. So
right.
um, it
And I,
just
and I think that was part of my interest is as a collector and someone who follows the hobby pretty closely, but is also an artist, but has always been I've always been just geared and leaned towards sports art. So as those kind of started to really collide, in the last 12 months or so, then that's when I really got interested in it more, and I started looking at. I'd seen sketch art stuff, but you're right. You know, because of my company, and we did some work for Gen Con and some other things. And so when you go to Gen Con or Comic Con or something like that, the artists, I mean, it just goes on for rows and rows of, and they're just doing incredible stuff. But it
mhm,
wasn't really. I mean, besides maybe Star Wars, I don't really get into any of that. So it's kind of like, well, this is awesome from an art standpoint, but I'm not interested in dragons and stuff like that.
right.
But but then yeah, when you start seeing a lot of the stuff that's out now and like in your city map stuff and things like that, it's like, okay, this is this is really cool stuff. But you're right, there's not the market hasn't been flooded with it like like the others have. So
Yeah, and I think you're starting to see that a little bit just with the pandemic and everything. I mean, there's so many different card art people, not necessarily artists, but just people, cutting up the cards, creating their own kind of homemade, handmade stuff. And a lot of it's cool. A lot of it's just people just having fun. They're it's an outlet for them. And if people buy it, there's some card artists that just say, I don't care if I make a ton of money. I'm just having fun. One guy I know donates. He's not, I don't think he's getting any money for the stuff he's doing, but he donates it all. So that's really cool. So, there's a ton of different, I think Project 2020 has opened the door to people looking at things differently and has been a boom for the industry for sure.
Yeah.
My when I like I said, I got on Instagram, I started seeing the sketch cards, and I had no idea they were a thing. And a lot of it was, they originated with comic books,
Right.
and comic cards and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So that's kind of where it originated. And it was supposed to be like a 30-minute sketch. And it's evolved to like creating, I say I'm trying to create little masterpieces,
Yep.
for people to have in their collection, and all my stuff is a one of one, other than when Topps wants to do a reproduction of it. But
Yeah.
even those are very limited.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been crazy. I mean, it's good to see it all. And I don't think I still explain to people what I do and the sketch cards, because a lot of people still don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
and then they'll afterwards they're like, man, thanks for like going over in detail, because I try to be very hands-on with like messaging. It's me messaging, replying to you,
Hmm.
and I try to reply. I probably, to the detriment of my wife, saying, why are you always on your phone? And I'm like, well, you're on your phone doing Snapchat. At least I'm doing business.
Yep. Yep.
So, but yeah, I try to say like, these are actually hand drawn, and I'm trying to shed a light on the actual artwork of it,
Hmm.
and show people like, hey, you can get some really cool things. There's some styles out there. Topps seems to like the realistic kind of approach, the realism
Yeah.
artwork. And there's some people have a little more stylized. I can think of a couple people that are a little more stylized, and some of their work I like, man, that's really cool. I just like the style.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang it, I wish I could do that. But then I'm like, well, no, I guess I'm doing pretty good, I guess, with what I'm doing.
Yep.
But I still appreciate other styles.
Yeah.
So kind of an impressionistic type look, or I've always kind of incorporated the acrylic wash or watercolor wash, as some people think it is,
Hmm.
in the backgrounds. And then with gallery on these cards, on museum cards, I can't really do the splatter type effect. But on gallery, I have done the splatter effect with
Yeah.
last year's set. So I'm getting more into that. But yeah, I don't know. It's always kind of been my style ever since I was in high school, really junior high school.
Yeah.
I kind of went that direction.
So
So
you're working with acrylic paints, markers, and colored
Oh,
pencil mostly.
yep. So I started out, my very first card I did was a Mike Trout, just to test to see, because that's what I was told. I said, how do you get into sketch cards? And they say, well, just you can buy some ones at your art store, like pre-cut.
Hmm.
Just do a couple and post them. So I did a Mike Trout and I did a Luke Skywalker, and I was getting messages like till 2 a.m. So I was like, wow, okay. So and I did my first sketch card set was with Viceroy Card Company. They did a space set, which I really love. So I did all kind of realistic stuff. I wasn't sure how I was going to even do a galaxy. I did like one of my favorite ones was a box topper, so it was an oversized card, but it was Zion National Park, and then the Milky Way in the sky,
Okay.
and like that was one of my favorites, and I was impressed at what I did, and I was like, wow, I did not even know I could do this, but
Yeah.
I figured it out. And that's a lot, actually a lot of my method. People ask me how do you do this? To tell you the truth, I don't know. I just start doing it, and then if I mess up, then I can kind of backtrack a little bit, and that's one of the reasons why I do mixed media, because you have three different mediums that you can kind of interact with each other.
Yeah.
Maybe one card you're going to need some more paint because you got to cover some stuff up. But I work in kind of washes with acrylic as well. So acrylic's more for like the little detail stuff with the really small brushes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mix and match. There's some cards that are nearly all marker. It just depends on what it is, who it is, the colors needed, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think I went off on a tangent. I don't know what road I was driving down, but
No, that's good. Can you talk any about printing on just so everything you do, if you're doing commissions or you're doing something like that, you're doing actual art. But then Topps will actually do some reproduction, like some limited edition reproduction stuff for you as well, right?
yeah, that's all them. I don't, because people ask me like, do you have the George Springer that you did? I see you put, because I post my original artwork, and then sometimes I'll post, like if I have a photo of the card, I'll
Hmm.
sometimes post the card next to it so you can see like
Yeah.
this the original, this is what it went to.
Yeah.
For Topps Museum, what I post is the artwork, so that is what it is.
Yeah.
Then Topps does the whole reproduction stuff. I don't actually print, because if I did, that would be illegal. So
Yeah.
so I can't actually print the stuff. But yeah, they'll choose the cards and they do the reprints, and then whatever they choose, they'll send me 25 copies, and then that's what I have. So then I started offering those up. I'll sign them and number them out of 25. And I realized people really wanted them. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was more than happy. I mean, I don't feel right charging a ton of money for those. I think the first year I charged $10
Yeah.
for a card, and then last year I charged 15. And then if you bought all 12 of them, then I gave a discount. But I think next year I might have some sort of tier system or different signing of like a red or blue or gold or that kind of thing, just
Yeah.
because that seems to be what people do and what people want. So I
Yeah.
will oblige to that. If you want a one of one gold and want to pay a little bit more money, I mean, I'm cool with that. So
yeah, the tier system, the exclusivity of things, the numbered system. I mean, it's definitely big in the hobby, and that's gonna, carry through to everything else, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then for the printing side of that question, I got into, I wanted to have something where I could do prints, because as an artist, especially if you're going to do stuff on your own, unless you're charging, 5,000, 10,000 or more for an original piece of artwork, you're not going to really make it unless you have some other thing. So printing is I knew that's what I wanted to get into, but I hadn't worked on anything of larger scale. I mean, I kept doing everything really tiny.
Yeah.
Baseballs, footballs on the bats and that kind of stuff. So I can't reproduce those. So I wanted to have something else. Obviously, I've done some bigger pieces. Actually, so that Jordan right there, that was my first. So that's 16 by 20. That was my first, in college, they say, all right, we're doing 2 weeks on chalk pastel. So that was my first attempt at chalk pastel. So I loved it. And that everybody really likes that one. So that I held on to that. So I have done bigger stuff. I've done bigger canvases and paintings and that kind of thing. So I wanted to, I had always loved the, the color image on top of black and white. I really like that aspect. I was looking at doing painting over newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And I started one. So Bud Crawford, I don't know if you're a boxing fan at all. He's a pound for pound, probably the best fighter in the world, and he's from Omaha. So
Okay.
I don't see where's it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I can see the edge of a glove there.
right, yeah, right there.
Yep.
So there's a glove, and I have photos on my Instagram and page. So I painted a Bud Crawford on that, took it down to his gym, and he signed it. And my mom actually taught Bud in high school.
Okay.
So so I told her what I was gonna do. I said I want to go get Bud's, and she's like, "Oh, Terrence." And I'm like, "How do you know him?" Oh, I taught him in high school. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So so I have that, and what was I gonna say?
Prince.
Yes, Prince. So sorry, I get on these tangents. So I wanted to do something bigger. So the newspaper was an idea. So I started that, but then Scott Frost got hired as the head coach for Nebraska. So our local Omaha World Herald paper did a full like comic book kind of. I have it on my wall here. I can show you. They did a full comic book spread on the back of the newspaper, and I thought that's really cool. And it was just kind of like welcome home, Scott kind of feel and look to it.
Yeah.
So I painted Scott Frost on top of it. I got him to sign it, and it's framed on my wall. So I love that aspect. I'll show it real quick.
Oh yeah.
So I love that aspect of, and then I airbrushed the background, kind of darkened it. But all of this is newspaper.
It's actually newsprint.
Yeah, it's newsprint.
Newsprint paper. Damn.
Yeah. So
Not very forgiving.
well, there's some tricks to it to get that.
You seal it first before you paint it on top of it with anything?
Yeah, with 10 layers of just white acrylic.
Yeah, yeah.
So so that helps with the rippling and all that.
Yeah, cool.
So the same technique is used on jerseys too.
Okay.
So that was something that I did, but right around that time, I was thinking like it'd be really cool to do like world maps or some city map type thing.
Mm-hmm.
You see all these, you see them more now, but I love the modern city maps. I mean, you can see them on Etsy and all over the place.
Yep.
And I love that look. So I was thinking that, but then when Scott got hired, I jumped on this, but I kept thinking about the map idea.
You're right.
And I had seen some other artists. I mean, there's one guy that does newspaper and kind of maps, probably printed, but they're huge, not murals, but they're just huge canvases, I guess.
Yeah.
And he does some really cool work. And then I saw another sports artist actually doing very similar stuff, just simple colored pencil over top of a map. And he actually he hit me up one day because he actually went to my high school or junior high, and we had the same junior high art teacher. So we started connecting a little bit, and we were talking about that. And I'm like, man, I like your map idea. I've been thinking about doing something similar. So he talked about his method a little bit, where he gets his stuff, and I knew right away kind of how I would approach it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make it seem like I stole his idea or anything like that, but I definitely got inspired from it.
Yeah.
But I knew how I would approach it and do it for what I know.
Yeah.
And what I've been doing is what I came up with. So, I actually print, I buy that map artwork off of Etsy actually.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy a digital download. So I buy that and then I print it because I have printing background. I know kind of file setup and how to go about that. So I print that map onto illustration board and
Okay.
then I do the artwork over top. So my originals are like that. And then that Jordan right there is one of them that I did. So that's an original right there.
Okay.
That's 16 by 20. But I've done, I did another Jordan. I call him like my emotion Jordan because it's his iconic. He's just like, it's kind of like the Kobe one where Kobe's like, yelling. Jordan has kind of a similar one too.
Yeah.
So I did that Jordan, and then I did the George Brett. And then for the Negro League Baseball Museum thing this past October, I did the Satchel Paige and Hank Aaron. And then the mantle was actually because I did the original artwork for the Beckett cover.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to do the map idea, and I pitched that to them, and they said, "Can you send me a mock-up?" Because they wanted to kind of see. So with all my stuff, I usually do some sort of Photoshop mock-up using photos, just to give me an idea. I can play with layout a little bit, so then I have something to go off of.
Yep.
And then I just have it on my iPad.
Yep.
So I sent them a mock-up, and they played with it, and they're like, "We don't think the street map lines are going to work." And I was like, man, because I really wanted to push that map idea, and then I could, sell more.
Yep.
But he said, "Can you do it without the map?" I said, "Yeah." So, and I actually love how it turned out. I'm actually thinking about doing more like that because I was able to do the background, and then for the map, I just included that in there because it helped. Because if I didn't include that background, that wash,
Mm-hmm.
he'd be lost. Like his silhouette gets lost.
Yeah.
So it worked out perfectly.
Yep.
But yeah, I love that method. So now I kind of have two different methods. If somebody really wants an original, then I will go through the extra effort to actually print the map so they have the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the Satchel Paige is probably my favorite. It's awesome, but the mantle just looks so good. And it's hard, but I collect as much mantle stuff as I can. It was my dad's favorite player, and of course now buying a lot of things is hard. The way that
Right.
I've gotten, but mantle stuff is just through the roof, like a lot of things. But I loved that, so had to have that one.
Do you have it framed or matted, or?
I do. I framed and matted it, and I just haven't hung it up yet.
Because
So
that would look really good right behind your shoulder there.
oh yeah. I'm at the office, so it's
I was wondering what that on the wall was. I'm like, that's interesting to do in your home.
no, I'm at work. That's a stake. That's our logo on the wall.
Okay.
So, nope, it's the mantle's at home with the collection. So
Cool.
well, awesome. Well, what's so this year you're just busy with fulfilling top stuff and doing as much as your own stuff as you can, and anything else new that you haven't mentioned?
No, I'm finishing up the Topps Museum. I got about 2 weeks left. And then Topps Gallery is going to be immediately upon that. I have till about mid-April, like I mentioned. And then along those lines, I'm hoping to be able to maybe fit in a couple commissions just to kind of use this allotted Topps time to throw in a couple commissions in there, because some of them are Topps related. Like I said, I have commissions for the actual cards themselves. So so if I can fit those in, that'd be great. But otherwise, I have I have a couple painted baseballs that I got to do. I have a bunch of the gallery sized ones. I have somebody wanted a bat, but I'm not sure if they're going to go and get that. Uh, I do have a couple of original maps coming. I have a Griffey and a Soto, Juan Soto, and so there'll be prints for those. And I've been trying. I have the layout started for a Mike Trout and a Patrick Mahomes, but I just have not been able to get to them. Um, so those are definitely ones that I want to do personally. I want to try to get that Bo Jackson jersey done. So if it turns out great, you'll see it. If it doesn't, you won't see it.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But
Well, we hope to see it then, of course.
yeah. So those are like the only. Those are the only like new thing. I mean, the jersey really is kind of. I posted kind of a teaser of just that first layer down, and I know people are excited because there's some great jersey artists out there. Mark Cannell is one of them. I've been following. I message and talk to him a lot. He's out of New York or New Jersey. But he's actually doing stuff with EA Sports and Madden right now with all jerseys. So yeah, he's been a great help. He'll kind of tell me some things. We'll discuss how to do things, and he's excited to see me where I can go with this one. And there's a couple other jersey artists that I've talked to too. So I'm really excited to try to get that going, but I don't know. We'll see.
Absolutely.
And then other than that, like new things, just more new art. I mean, I keep wanting to try to get better. I think my Topps cards from 2019 to 2020 were a lot better, and 2021 is right on par. I'm really stoked about one of the cards. I'm a White Sox fan, but because of how much attention went around this particular moment, and with Topps, they want you to try to do like all stars, the popular players.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of jumped the script and I did Joe Kelly and his pouty face. So that's actually probably like one of my favorite cards. So I think it'd be hilarious that they chose it as one of the reprints, but we'll see.
Cool.
So
Cool.
The art director, he actually thought it was pretty funny. He's like, it's good to kind of see something a little different, have a little fun.
Yep.
So, and because they won the World Series, I mean, why not?
Yep. I think that's the fun part of sketch art and some of the cards and stuff we're seeing now anyway, is that they are different. I love seeing the different card designs and just the printing techniques that they use today are just crazy. But yeah, the art side of it coming into it, I think is a really cool juxtaposition with everything else. So
yeah, the only bad thing is with Topps, because like this is a licensed product. I can't just. I've had people request some weird stuff for a Topps card. I'm like this is a Topps licensed product. Like they have to approve it.
Yeah,
I can't just do what like one guy wanted his dog. I'm like, I can't do a picture of your dog. But although if you look at some of the past, like what was it like? I don't know. It was in the '90s the studio collection. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
It almost felt like they took pictures at like glamour shots or something. But there's like one guy had a parrot on his shoulder,
right?
And there's just some weird stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't just do whatever. I have to kind of follow a guideline. That's the only thing that some of these other card artists, card art can do. They can literally do whatever because they're not strapped with, even though they are cutting up a licensed product and doing their own thing. I'm actually drawing on the licensed product, and it's actually getting released through Topps. So I have to kind of follow some rules a little bit, but
rules are good sometimes.
but that's why you see a ton of people, branching out and doing their own personal sketch cards because they can literally do whatever.
Artistic license. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, Josh, this has been great. Thanks for digging in and letting us into your world a little bit. We appreciate it, and look forward to seeing all the new stuff that's coming out. And we got baseball season coming around here soon. So we'll get
Yep.
excited about all that stuff.
Yep. And it helps that I play a lot of fantasy baseball. So like I get into all that. And
Cool.
so that helps me actually with the tops cards. Like I know the prospects to target and that kind of thing. So
Yep. Yep. Very good.
it's fun.
Well, I look forward to seeing everything coming out from you, and thanks a bunch for your time today.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for having me. It was fun. So
Cool. All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon.
all right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yep. Bye.